50% of all CO2 released in the world. So what can be done about that? You know, as we're thinking about green, as we're thinking about what kind of impacts we can make, more and more contractors are using fly ash instead of Portland cement in their concrete. They're using slag for steel production instead of Portland cement in the concrete. They can use up to 100% fly ash as opposed to Portland cement. So there's things that you can do in your fabrication and use of concrete that are going to be totally different and have a huge impact on CO2. When we think about the materials going into green buildings, there's other examples that are just as powerful as that. Look at office partitions now. If you've ever been to any trade shows and seen the things that Steelcase and Herman Miller are putting out, these are generally recycled. They don't have VOCs coming out of them, and they're a heck of a lot more attractive than the old kind of gray or brown cubicle walls that you see in a lot of offices. More and more businesses are looking at the materials that they're using, saying, how can we make these healthier? How can we reduce the carbon footprint of those materials? We talked about life cycle analysis and trying to understand the total cost from the beginning to the ultimate end of that product. What is the total cost economically? What's the total cost of carbon? And that kind of analysis is becoming routine. And then, you know, we've talked about how are costs allocated. You know, the insurance industry has borne the cost of pollution for a heck of a long time. The total cost of a product doesn't include the disposal of the waste. And businesses that have been big polluters have really been able, over the last 50 years, 100 years, to avoid those costs in the short run. But I grew up in a town called Waukegan, Illinois. It's north of Chicago. It has a lot of things that people might know it for, but one of the things is it has 3 of the top 10 EPA hazardous waste sites. 2 of the companies that dumped, there were PCBs in the harbor and the beach where I used to go swimming when I was a kid. There was another one that dumped it in the river. They're gone. They're not in business any longer. A third that had asbestos issues went bankrupt, reorganized, and that was owned by Warren Buffett. They changed completely. But those companies, the people who ran them, aren't there anymore. A lot of people who work there have had health issues as well. Those companies have ultimately paid the price that they got for pollution, even though their product didn't reflect that cost. Even though when they were polluting, they didn't pay the cost. Their insurance company paid it. Then what happened? Most insurance companies stopped insuring pollution. The companies that pollute, manufacturing companies, have to go out and buy special